Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Heather Frierson, and I'm your host of the Business Spotlight podcast. And today I have Dan Cassara, founder of the Core Group, as my guest. And we are going to be talking about all about his business, his journey to ownership, the challenges, best practices, and really just share a sneak peek of what it's like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a notification every time a new show drops, just like this one. Well, Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I would just love for you to set the stage for our listeners and just share a little bit of background about who you are and what Core Group is.
My pleasure. So thank you for having me again.
Yeah.
So I am Dan Cassara. I'm the founder and CEO at Core Group. Core is essentially a national network of property damage restoration companies. We service 50 states where we essentially do everything from smoke, fire, water damage, environmental remediation, and mold remediation, that sort of thing, and reconstruction. Our business is unique because while we have this national network of contractors, we also operate a third-party administrator of claims for carriers and business owners and corporate companies alike who are looking for a qualified network to service their property needs. In addition to that, we've built the property restoration industry's largest buying program called Core Perks. And then we have the largest online university in the industry as well as produce incredible events throughout the year, both for our clients, which are carriers and business owners and corporate entities, as well as contractors.
Wow, that's
a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a
Yes.
lot. Yeah.
I wrote down your national network of contractors. You've got Core Perks, which I want to know more about, and you have an online university. So
Yeah.
let's back up because there's so many questions I have rolling around in my head that I want to get to. So give us an example, just so for me and my listeners, what kind of calls do you get or who do you service when you talk about your national contractor? Or
Sure.
I'm not even saying that right, I'm sure.
Yeah. So calls come from really everywhere. I would say we get probably less directly from a home and business owner directly.
Okay.
It's usually through an insurance carrier or a large corporate entity, call it, a hotel group or whatnot, who's calling about a specific property of theirs. So usually it's sort of like, it's more of a B2B kind of experience. We build relationships with what we consider to be the very best in class, insurance carriers nationwide. And our carriers, we specifically look for a trait in a carrier who's looking to elevate the customer experience. So if not every carrier potentially makes that their compass or roadmap, but we specifically look for carriers who want to elevate the experience so that if you're a homeowner or a renter and you have something that happened in your property and you call your carrier to help take care of that issue, we want to work with carriers who are looking to not just elevate the experience, but make it as seamless as possible. Because in many cases, it's the worst thing that's happened to a person, if they've never experienced it. I don't know if you've ever experienced a water damage or fire damage, but it can be traumatic. Fire especially is ultimately really traumatic. And so what you want to be met with is a carrier, and then ultimately us, the contractor network, who has a high level of empathy, high level of customer experience and service, and really focuses on it's going to get better. There's going to be a light at the end of this tunnel, and that we're going to try to make this as smooth and seamless as possible so you can get back to your routine, because that's really where the disruption takes place, is when something happens, it disrupts everything, in your life. So we really try to focus on that. And so clients who are in the market looking for just, I want the most contractors in a network and I want to get it done as cheaply as possible, those are not generally the carriers and even clients that we partner with. We're looking for ones that really want to elevate their game. And so we help them do that.
Wow, that's so reassuring. And no, I thank God I've never had that experience. However, I've housed quite a few of hurricane relief people that have come through, whether it be family or friends, because of where they live. And we're in, Texas, close to Louisiana. And so those kinds of things happen.
They do.
So I understand that. And so to hear that, you really are focusing on the empathy and that this is maybe your job day to day, but it's not to the person that it's happened to or the business that it's happened to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love that so much. So, what is then core perks again?
So Core Perks is the industry's largest buying program. So essentially, if you're a restoration contractor, whether you're a traditional franchise, in the market, or you're an independent company, oftentimes you don't have the buying power to be able to go out and say, I need to secure equipment and resources and consumables and, Tyvek suits for like environmental jobs and things like that. You really don't have the buying power to be able to do that. So there are several buying programs in the industry, but we thought to ourselves, well, why not build one that has the most, vendors? So that has the most available products and services, but also can really dial into, with this buying power, how can we make it more cost effective for the business owner? So our restoration companies that participate in our Core Perks program, not only we commit to like the best as possible market pricing for what you're buying, but in a lot of our programs, they get rebates. So if they're buying enough stuff throughout the year, they get money back at the end of the year, and they get rebates and things like Home Depot and other companies where they're spending consistently a lot of money. It incentivizes them to say, do it through this program so that way we can collectively have that buying power.
Wow, that's amazing. This is not a small business that you're
No,
describing. It's sounds not only quite large, but your reach is so impactful. So
absolutely.
what makes me curious about that is how did you even come up with this idea and start?
Well, I'm going to tell you up front that I'm a genius. No, I'm just kidding. No, no. I actually, without going into the whole story, my brother is a restorer and he was in this industry, and I had no idea this industry even existed 24 years ago, 25 years ago now. And basically, he said, have you ever thought about getting into restoration? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, who really knows what that means unless you've experienced it?
Yes.
And I was in advertising. There's an industry that most
Mm.
people know. So I tried it, and I was with a company for my first 6 years in this industry with a company who was part of a larger national network, and I helped build that company because of that network from about 3 million in revenue to about 35 million. We grew them exponentially. And what I realized was that it was actually quite simple because I was able to lean to sort of the power of the collective group. So when you had other companies that were, although they were direct competitors, I could call and say, I'm having this really difficult issue. I don't know how to get through this. And it was almost like a national mastermind group, if you will.
Oh,
And so decided to expand the business through that. From that point, I actually joined I became the head of marketing for that national group, and then eventually became the CEO, and then sold the company and all
wow.
those things. But I was contemplating, leaving the industry for a while and saying, well, maybe this is just all I need to do, right? Because everyone's got their personal journey, and I thought to myself, no, it's not done yet. And so core was really my way of saying, let's look at what exists already in this space and how can we make it better. And so we're really the only network like us, or only model. There's no other model like us in the industry, and people hear me say that ad nauseum. And so because it's true,
Yeah.
but really we're the only business like us that tries to foster a happy medium between our contractors and then anyone else that they touch, whether it's a vendor partner or it's a carrier or it's a commercial client or each other. We try to foster this sense of community. So even like our largest annual convention is called the Collective. And so it's really about collectively getting people to one place and being able to build this sense of community that we really value, and something that we've worked very hard to build. And so we're not the biggest company in the space, but arguably we're one that makes probably the most reach, because we are really intentional about who we want to be as a company. And so people who follow us on social and other places will see that we're everywhere. And it's primarily because we're really intentional about conveying the fact that, it's funny, when we started the company, my slogan that I came up with was, there's a standard by which all others are measured. We are that standard. So it was really like a line in the sand to say, you can choose to play below the line, have fun all day long. It's a race to the bottom.
Wow.
Or you can elevate yourself. And I think that we continue to do that every day.
I love that slogan. I
Thank
mean,
you.
you are the standard. I mean, as business owners or even entrepreneurs, we have to rise to the occasion, right?
Yeah,
And why not be the standard?
absolutely. Even when it's hard,
Yeah.
you gotta do it. Yeah.
And it just made me think when you were talking about how you were building the other company and you would reach out to people and became like a mastermind. Well, if everyone's in it for the same reason, which is to help
Yeah.
people, why
Right.
wouldn't you help others?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why is this so important to you? What you could have gotten out and you felt like you weren't done, but why?
There are a lot of reasons. Advertising, what I was in, sexy industry. My parents are in the clothing industry, like fashion, sexy industry. People love, they want to be a part of that. And while that would have been an easy, thing to do, I felt that I really wasn't making the personal impact I wanted to make. And I
Mm,
felt like what I ultimately wanted to do, while yes, directly we are helping people in need as an industry, I
mm-hmm,
wanted to be able to help business owners because that's a really lonely seat to sit in when you're
mm,
building a business, whether it's from the ground up or not. And truly not being able to, like, I mean, who are you really, conveying your stress to? It's either if you have a partner, you're having pillow talk. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to make payroll. All those things that business owners do, but it goes beyond that. Like, imagine if you could build a group of people where you could really lean into and say, this is what's keeping me up at night. Is it keeping you up at night?
mm,
Because I don't want to feel alone in this effort. So I actually went through that myself with in building core with my partner. Like we started from scratch. It was a pivotal moment of either I'm going to leave this industry or, and it was funny, or it was meet me at Pete's Coffee in Walnut Creek, California, which is where it happened. And I said, we're going to do this and I'm going to really lean in. And it was like,
mm,
where do we start? Right. So it
mm-hmm,
sort of became this. So building it myself, I know how lonely that seat can be. So I can really empathize with business owners who are like, I've built my business to this point, but I don't know how to get over that threshold. And so that's what really excites me is watching the light bulbs go off and go, well, have you thought about this? And what about this? And because I bring even though I'm in this industry for 25 years, I don't feel like I'm in this industry. I
mm-hmm.
still bring this outside view of how this industry can be better. I think that translates to every employee at Core too. They look at it from a like, how can we get innovative and think outside the box? Because this business owner is having this issue, and we can go through the toolbox of things that the industry tells them to do to build their business. But why don't we go beyond that? Let's think outside of that. And how can we,
Mm-hmm.
how can we give them advice that is just something they've never thought of before? So that's what really excites me.
Yeah. I love that because, and lots of times when I do these interviews, you can hear the heart behind the business. And that's what I just heard is just how the passionate you are with helping others from your own experience. And that's what happens a lot is that
Absolutely.
you are sometimes the customer and that's how it starts to fill that need. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us about some of the services. You dabbled in it a little bit, but I know it's vast than, just looking at your website. Tell us about some of the things you get to do.
So we, as a company, our network really gets to really connect with people in time of need. So the most common peril, as it's referred to, is water damage. Water damage seems to be
Mm,
the number one, and water can ultimately translate to many other issues, environmental issues, mold remediation, things like that. But we do, as I said, smoke, fire, water damage, restoration, mold remediation, asbestos abatement, a lot of reconstruction, obviously, because when you have those instances, you've got to take the home apart and put it back. Um, but a lot of it really, if you really think about it, it's not really about what it's hospitality. We just
mm,
ended a retreat with our employees. And what I told them was, we're not in the restoration industry. We're in the hospitality industry. We're really in the industry of helping people. We just happen to be in restoration, right? And I know that
mm.
many industries have used that sort of cliche. We're really in customer service, but but it's really true.
Really true for you.
Yeah, it truly is really true because we get to help people when they need us most.
Hmm.
And what's really cool was I think COVID was everyone's got a COVID story.
Hmm.
COVID was like the aha moment yet again, where I went, oh my gosh, universe, thank you for bringing me in this industry because we realized very quickly how essential what we do is. Because if you remember, the world was under lockdown, and if
Wait,
you were a
what?
restaurant, you were not essential, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if you, and this is early on. So what we did is our team, when this was all so new, within like a week of
Mm-hmm.
lockdown, we very quickly started writing to every state regulator and said, we are representing the property restoration industry, and we need you to understand that this is necessary, and these are
Mm-hmm.
critical services, and someone's home may have burnt down, this morning, and yet they're locked, they're stuck at home and they have nowhere to go, and someone's got to handle that. So we took a very proactive approach. The Restoration Industry Association, which is our largest industry association, did it as well. But we just lined up with them and said, let's go state by
Mm-hmm.
state. And sure enough, we became an essential service. But that just confirmed for me that this is not just your everyday industry. This is something that is needed,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what's happening in the world, whether it's a recession or a pandemic or anything, really.
Yeah,
Restoration has to take place.
it's true.
Yeah,
And I bet you saw a lot of that going on during that season too.
absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to talk about your team because I keep hearing you say we, which of course you can't do anything like this alone. But share a little bit about your team and how you maybe train them for not just a job, but how to be hospitable to your clients.
I think again, I hope that nothing I'm saying sounds cliche, but I will tell you, it all starts with culture. I
Mm,
think that you can hire anyone. Um, we use we operate under an interesting system here at Core called EOS. It's a structure by how we operate our business, and but one of the things I've heard in the sort of EOS space is the talented a-hole. The person who's really talented but thinks they know it all. And so what we generally do is we hire for culture first, skill second, because you can train anyone. I mean, if I can go from advertising to restoration and get it, then anyone can do this. Truly, a guy as dumb as me, anyone can do it. But if you get somebody who fits the culture and they're already ingrained
Mhm.
naturally to be that person, then to train them is really a gift to our industry, as I see
Mm,
it. So we really emphasize bringing the right people to the table. So we last week held our annual retreat we call it Focus. So this, and of course my printer is going off behind me, so if you can hear that, I apologize.
I
Um,
can't actually.
okay, good. The last week was Focus 25 because we're focusing on 25, and that event started with six or seven of us.
Mm,
And now last week we were at almost 50 people in a room, all
wow.
and watching kind of that growth over just 5 years. And we basically realized that every single person that was there in that room last week was there by design, because they essentially fit the culture, they fit the mold. There was no one. You can't really look across the core group team and say, oh, that person doesn't really fit here, because
Hmm.
we do all the work on the front end to make sure that we have the right
Mm,
people at the table, and then once we do that, the rest is history.
yeah. Makes life a lot easier,
It
especially
certainly
when
does.
you spend so much time at work. You want to
Absolutely.
be around the right people for sure.
Absolutely.
So how would you describe your leadership style?
um oh so I mean, there's so many directions I can go with this. I think that one thing that's crystal clear is I never think I'm the smartest guy in the room. It's quite
Mm,
the opposite. I'm always looking to learn from the people around me. And so I think that sometimes that surprises people, because they think that I have, they assume, oh, he's the CEO, he must have all the answers, and they wait for me. Whereas I will often lean back and wait for them and go, what would you do in this
mm,
situation? Because I do think that, the varied perspectives, whether they're on my leadership team or they're in, middle management, or even down to the folks that are dealing with the customers right at the front lines.
mhm.
It's important that all of those perspectives come to the table, and I don't have all the answers, right? So I sit awake at night wondering the same questions anyone else does. So I think that I like to empower. I'll lead people down a path, and if I feel like they're off track, I'll say like, well, what about this, and try not to helicopter lead, if you will, but just
Mhm.
empower people to make good decisions. And I think that in itself is just, that's pretty much it. I mean, I really just
Mm-hmm.
try to um, allow people to come up with their own, I let them make mistakes too. That's the other thing too, is people are going to make mistakes, and it's nothing that they're going to do is going to sink the ship. It's fine. But it's good for them to have that experience and
Yeah.
not just get bailed out, across along the way. So yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. So I heard you say it's been 5 years. Is that right?
It has been, yeah. So we're going into our 6th year. Yes.
Sixth year. So
Yeah.
when you look back at that 6 years outside of COVID, I'm sure, what has been one of the biggest challenges or roadblocks you faced, and how did it shape your business and even your leadership style?
I think the biggest thing is probably just learning to be nimble, like
Mhm.
being quick on decisions and being nimble. We started the company in California. We moved the company from California to Austin, Texas, in middle of 19. So if you think about it, about 9 months before COVID. And believe it or not,
Oh,
it was actually kind of a blessing in disguise, because Texas had a little bit more lenient, regulations on who's outside and doing business and all this stuff.
true.
So that helped us to be a little bit more nimble. It's funny because as I look backwards, I realized that little intuitive cues I was getting along with my partner were getting about we should probably do this. They kind of paid dividends in a number of different ways. So moving the company here, and then just not being, and it's interesting, there's a lot of conversation happening, I've noticed on LinkedIn, about the whole like return to work, get your butt in seats.
Mm,
That is a big conversation, right? And I guess for some industries that makes sense, but we operate a 24/7, 365
wow.
contact center, concierge team, but they're in like 12 states. So it doesn't require us
Hmm.
to build a call center where people are sitting in cubes every day. We very much believe in letting people be where they are. And I think as a company, we're in like 27 states. So we have people spread out in every time zone, which is great. So I think the biggest thing is just being nimble, being able to make decisions quickly, learn from mistakes quickly, because when you're young and you're building a business and maybe you don't have the cash, early on
Mm,
that you do today, you make better decisions. I arguably I'd see the things that kept me up at night, like not having enough cash to build the business,
hmm.
allowed me to make better decisions, because I wasn't just like, oh, it's fine.
Mm,
We'll do that next quarter because we've got
yeah.
this thing that we can just, yeah. We were very intentional about every dollar we spent, every
Wow.
person hired, it was very, very dialed in. So,
Yeah.
and I hope we still do that today. I hope we still do that today.
Yeah.
But yeah, we built a pretty remarkable business, with all the things that were kind of coming at us, like you said, with COVID and
Hmm.
just changes in the environment and political stuff too, which I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into. But like that does impact every industry, right? That noise impacts people's desire
Hmm.
to work for a company or not work for a company, or all those things. So it's really being able to be nimble and go, okay, we're going to shift gears. We're going to go this way now, and that's okay. And it may be the wrong decision, but we'll go back quickly, and all
Yeah.
those things. So
That's really
yeah,
good. So did you start Core by self-funding?
we did. Yeah, we did.
Wow.
We started. So it started actually with draining my savings. It was really, I walked in, my wife had just had our son, who's now 7. And she was exhausted. And I came back from a business trip and I looked at her and I said, how much do we have in savings? And she was like, why? And so we, oh, straight up. So we basically burned through it started with like savings, credit cards, like just to get
Mm,
things kind of moving. And then godsend, I found an amazing partner. So it started this with a friend and co-founder here at Core, and then we found an amazing partner who saw the vision very quickly, and it wasn't going to be this long, like, let's go through 6 months of me punching holes through your business. He said, I see it and I want to invest in it. And he was a godsend, and
wow.
he really helped us. But even with that, even having an infusion of capital, really, we were still very intentional about what we did. So we didn't hire fast. We hired very
Hmm.
slow. We made sure, that we hired the right people at the right time. And so, our offices started really, really small. Like our first office was a 10 by 10 room with a little window, and very small, to now we have a whole floor of a building.
Hmm.
It's incredible that how, if you make those right decisions early on,
Yeah.
how they can pay off, long term.
Right. For those that are listening, what is your advice? And to maybe they're thinking, I don't know, and they're in the crossroads. Let me back up a little bit. I think I just did a whole word spew, but they're in the crossroads of, my brain is faster than my mouth. They're in the crossroads of wanting to start a business and trying to decide, do I self-fund? Do I get investors? Is there a magic answer or no?
I don't know the answer. I don't know that
Yeah.
there is a magic answer or not, but I would tell you that for it really depends on what you're doing, obviously. Some
Mm-hmm.
industries require a lot of capital. What blows me away in general, and we hear this, all of us, you consumers hear it kind of in the software space, where, oh, this company raised $400 million and last fall, and now they're running out of cash, which to me is like incredible. You're just like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
guys doing? Like, you didn't have to buy the jet. Like, what's happening here? So there's a lot of kind of that happens in the business world. And I think that if you're really passionate about starting a business and you really want to have that end game that everyone wants, which is that big payout where you know, ride off into the sunset and get to travel the world with your
Mm-hmm.
family and all those things, you got to put the work in. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
about how much you raise, it's about like how much are you willing to sacrifice of yourself, and how much are you willing to rally people around you to sacrifice with
Mm-hmm.
you. I think that's way more important than how much money you have, because if you can inspire people to jump on your wagon and go with you, then
Mm-hmm.
you'll get much further with or without the capital. But again, it just depends on the industry. Obviously, some companies require more capital to get started than others.
Yeah.
But there's so many amazing resources out there. I was talking to my wife the other day.
Mm-hmm.
She's starting a new podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh, there are all these amazing resources out there, and
Yeah.
you can do this using AI and other online tools and stuff that
Yeah.
you don't really need, you know, a ton of, you know, you don't have to build a team behind you. You guys have a
Mm-hmm.
team, and that's impressive, but she doesn't have a team yet. But what's really cool is that she can get so much further down the line with all these
Mm-hmm.
great tools that we have today, by not having to invest really much at
Yeah,
all.
it's
So
true. You want to give her a little plug on the show, what her show is?
not yet. No, it's too
Okay.
soon. But I
All right.
actually, she floated it by me last week, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." I don't know if you're familiar with the term ikigai. Have you heard? Are you
No.
familiar? So it's a Japanese term that it's all about, you know, what can you get paid for? What does the world need? What is your passion? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a few other elements, but when you kind of meet that crossroads of all those things, that's your ikigai. It's like your purpose. And when
Mm.
she described this to me, I looked at her and went, that is your purpose. Like, you built up
Wow.
businesses and that's great, but this is your purpose. And this will not just help you, but it'll help so many other people. And I'm super excited about it. So yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to reach back out when that
Oh,
launches
I
and let me
will.
know, like, this is what it is, because I love shows like that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
our show is the best, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, it's a totally different
Yeah,
genre.
well, we'll have to maybe have her on even to share
Yeah,
about it.
it's amazing. And I'm so excited for her and where that's going to go.
That's great. I love that you're cheering for her. That's great.
I
Yeah.
am.
Well, let's jump to the future a little bit and about maybe 3 to 5 years. Where do you see core group in the next 3 to 5 years?
We are about to embark on, as right now as we speak, we're about to embark on a series of acquisitions. So we're going to be acquiring a few different companies in our space of different kinds. So
Mm-hmm.
really excited about what I love about Core is because our model is so unique. It allows us to look in places where most people wouldn't think we would play. And so I'm excited about that. Like, you know, adopting or acquiring like technology and
Mm.
solutions and other service businesses and things. So really excited about that. So I think that today who we are as a company is great, but where we're going to be in 5 years will be game changing. So
Yeah.
something that we're working on right now, you know, will take us from about 50 to about 450 team members over the next 30 days or so. So we're going to grow
Wow.
exponentially, but it's not just about the people. It's about
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we're building a bigger system or a platform that is going to be even greater than it is today.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's
Thank
a
you.
great accomplishment.
Thank you.
When you think of that could happen the next 30 days, what does that mean to you personally? What does that afford you to do as far as your company or even for your personal life?
Um, Well, hopefully work less. I'm
Yeah.
working a lot these days. I really love what I do though. So I honestly,
Yeah.
I don't really feel like I'm excited to come to the office every day. I really love what I
Yeah.
do. I love my team. I just love what I do. So it makes it really easy to go to work. I don't
Mhm.
ever feel like I'm going to work. Um,
Great.
it's funny. It's the only company I've ever worked for where I don't mind flying the flag. And so I've worked for other
Mm.
companies where they're like, here's the branded attire. And I'm like, I'm not wearing that. And yeah, because I wasn't really bought in. And today, look, it's two
I
layers.
know. It looks great.
Yeah,
You're all in.
100%. So yeah, I think that for me personally, I'm building a really amazing team and I'm learning to elevate myself so that I don't have to do it all.
Hmm.
And that's a daily struggle for any,
Yeah.
entrepreneur. So I'm really hoping that I get to at least step back and go, okay, look what we built. This is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And then really enjoy it and then keep
Yeah.
moving, but just take a
Yeah.
moment to enjoy it. So it's good. It's really, really exciting for me and for my family.
That's awesome. I hear a lot of the things that you're saying and pointing to is that it's going to help the team be stronger.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. When you grow like that, of course, there's new stressors, but when you're uh, wearing all the hats, not as many maybe at this point, but it can add to the workload. And so by growing
Right.
like this and acquiring these amazing companies, it's going to afford your team to have a better lifestyle and
Absolutely.
work balance. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Well, let's have a little fun and get to some rapid fire questions. You game?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. What would you say is the key to success for you?
Remaining authentic, being
Mm,
true to myself. I think that's probably my biggest one. That would be it. Not posturing. I learned years ago not to posture. So stop the ego, take the ego out of the equation. It really isn't about you. It's about like what you can do for others. So I think it's, yeah, not posturing, I'd say.
that's great. I love that. I wrote that down. Remaining authentic. All right. What is your one piece of advice for other business owners?
I feel like a cliche business book. Literally don't give up. I mean, honestly,
Mm,
like there's nothing that any individual can't accomplish. I think it's just but you've got to be willing to do the work. So like
yeah.
last night I was here in the office working on some late night stuff till like 2 a.m. And so
Mm,
and and people go, oh my gosh, 2 a.m. And I'll say, yeah, it's fine. I was back here at 7, excited to be back here at 7. I
yeah.
get the privilege of doing this every day. So yeah, it wasn't a big deal. But I'm not afraid to do the work. So I'd say the biggest thing is
Hmm.
people give up too soon. I think you need to
Mm,
really do the work.
that's awesome. Well, you mentioned purpose a few minutes ago about your wife. It sounds like you're living in your purpose, which is why it's easy.
I am. Yeah, I absolutely am.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Book or podcast? What are you reading or listening to right now?
Podcast. Well, a lot of great books, but I'd say, well, actually, a really great book recently, 10x is easier than 2x. That was a really great one. But podcasts, I'm listening to a lot of them. As of very recently, I went from like all business podcasts to like some,
Hmm.
I just needed a brain break. So like as I'm driving home, I'm doing these like murder mystery, weird, fun thing. It just
I
gives
love
me a
that.
minute to not think
Yeah,
about business. And yeah, so I don't remember what they're all called, but yeah, podcasts for sure. I think that podcasts are the future for sure.
for sure. Yeah, we're doing it and your wife's doing it.
Right now, right? As we speak.
Yes, that's right. As we speak. So book, you mentioned the 10X book.
Yeah.
Who is the author of that? Because I've heard of that book. I think I just heard a podcast over that actually.
I knew
Do you
you were
know?
going to ask me that.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
gosh. Uh,
What is it called?
it's
Just say the
embarrassing
title
because
again.
I'm sorry.
Just say the name of the book again.
It's 10x is easier than 2x. So
That's
10x,
yes.
if they literally search 10x, it's really about focusing on the important things and not the
Mhm.
little things that you think are going to
Yeah.
get you. You can make exponential leaps in your life and in your business.
Hmm.
I just think it's so simple, but it was a great one.
I just heard him speak on a podcast and I can't remember his name either. So
That's
we're in the
embarrassing.
same
I
boat.
should know this. I should know. I mean,
I,
I've read it a couple
I
times, so I know I should
That's
know.
okay. It's like,
Yeah.
you can remember someone's face and go, "Hey guy, what's
Yeah.
up?" But you don't
Yeah.
Yeah. We all get it. We all get it. Okay. This
Funny.
is a fun question. If you had a little bit of a magic dust, it could sprinkle it anywhere in your business, where would you sprinkle it?
Wow. Over my people. I think
Hmm.
honestly, I think I'm excited about like where we're going as a company in terms of like these acquisitions because I'm excited to show those companies how great it is here at Core. I'm really excited about that. So if there's one thing I'm really passionate about in terms of where we're heading in the very near future is being able to transcend what we've built here and be able to replicate it across multiple companies, which is really, really exciting to me.
Yeah, because you have to, the new people coming, you have to teach them your culture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
that's going to really be,
Without disrupting their existing
right.
culture, because they're amazing companies. I don't want to disrupt them.
Mm,
I just want to add a little bit of core pixie dust over the top, and I
there
think
you
that'll
go.
make them even better. Yeah,
You can take that question and use it that way with them.
I'm going to. I mentally noted that. I'm like, noted.
I love that. Well, before we get into the final question of the day, share with our audience how they can follow you, get in touch with you, all the things.
Absolutely. So, you can find our company, Go With Core. So it's www, obviously, gowithcore.com. If you're a business owner in the construction or property restoration space at all, and you want to connect in person at an amazing event, if you go to thecollectivebycore.com is our annual conference website. It's incredible. I mean, talk about an experience. And every year gets better and better and better. So gowithcore.com, I think, is sort of the home base of kind of where to find Core. And we've got many other websites that tie to our business, but that's really how to find us.
Yeah, I love that. The Collective by Core. I want to come.
You
And I'm
should
not even the business.
be my guest. No, truly. Come and actually, I have an idea. Come and actually podcast from the show. Like we'll figure out a way to do that.
That's
I
a
mean,
great
it's a
idea.
show full of business owners. Like what
Yeah.
better?
What
Yeah,
better platform just to sit people down right there?
100%. Yeah.
I'm elevating that right now and bringing
Please
that to our
do. No,
leaders. Be like, hey,
I've held the spot for you. I will tell the team we actually have podcast we have little podcast hubs throughout the conference. So yeah, I will hold one for you. I would love to have you guys. That would be amazing.
that would be great. Okay. I'm gonna get that done. I'm gonna get that done.
It's August 6th through the 8th, 2025 in Austin at the JW Marriott. So
I love the JW Marriott too. I've been there
yeah,
for a couple of events. It's so cool.
yeah,
Okay. We're gonna collaborate. We're gonna get this done.
let's do it.
All right. Final question of the day. What is most inspiring you today?
Um, I think it was coming off of today. I'm still on a high from last week. We came off of this focus retreat last week, and it literally
Mm,
it filled my cup for the next 6 months. So it's
mm.
that I think that, and then the next time it happens again will be our collective conference, which carries me into the next focus. It really is such a big part of who I am and what we do that I think what's inspiring me today is really this team that we've built. I'm so proud of the folks that we have at Core, and like you said, I didn't do this alone. These are people
Mm.
that are truly they really emulate every bit of our values every single day, and so that's really what inspires me every day.
I love how you keep talking about team. It just shows just your heart because you just have a heart for people, apparently. You're not only your team, but
I
the
do.
people you're helping. So that's really inspiring to me as well. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for this conversation. I'm so glad I
Thank
got
you.
to speak with you today. This was awesome.
Likewise.
Well, great. Well, I just want to encourage everyone that is listening to just save this show because Dan really did have some great wisdom and just inspiring message today. So, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do so to our channel so you don't miss a conversation that drops just like this one. But a special thank you again to you, Dan, for joining me today. This was a great
Thank you,
conversation.
Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, until next time, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.